Good morning. My name is Dan Satterberg. I'm the prosecuting attorney for King County, and today I join with my partners, King County Sheriff John Urquhart and Russ Hauge from the Liquor and Cannabis Commission, to announce a crackdown on unlicensed marijuana stores in unincorporated King County. We believe there are about 15 of these stores that are operating today without a license from the state of Washington. We know there are at least 6 in White Center, and we've plotted them on the map. We're here today because the law is now very clear. The only legal way to sell marijuana is to have a state-issued license. If you don't have a license, it's illegal to sell marijuana. These 15 stores in unincorporated King County are unlicensed, untaxed, and undermining the state's new groundbreaking legal marijuana law. They simply must cease to operate now. They can go and apply to get a license. If they get a license, they may reopen. But there is no more tolerance for illegal, unlicensed marijuana stores. If they continue to operate as unlicensed, illegal retail outlets for the black market, they will face an array of civil and potentially criminal options that we have to make sure that we can enforce the new law in the state of Washington. And it would be a mistake for anybody to think we're not serious about doing that. We've picked this location, the sheriff's storefront here in White Center, because on this very street, we have an example of how you do it right and how you do it wrong. There is a licensed 502 store across the street called Bud Nation that has complied with all of the laws of the state, has been granted a license by the Liquor and Cannabis Board, and is collecting taxes and sending those taxes to the state of Washington. There are 6 other stores in White Center that are doing it wrong. They have no authority to sell marijuana. They're not acting as an actual collective garden under the law, and they must cease to operate. You know, since the Medical Marijuana Initiative passed in our state in 1998, we have been very, very sensitive to allowing patient access. You won't find a prosecutor in the state who has done more to allow patients to get marijuana for their medical needs than the King County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. But at some point we have to say the law has changed, and we all need to change the way we view marijuana in the state of Washington. Today we have a regulated system of production and processing and retail sales. And the retail sales stores are now robust. There is product on the market. There's no scarcity any longer. Anybody who wants to buy marijuana, who's over the age of 21, who wants to buy it for any reason, can buy it at one of those stores. And after having a law in our state that for years was anything but clear, today the law is very clear. If you have a license, you may participate and sell marijuana. If you do not, you may not. And the equities which once favored a more flexible approach to patient access to medicine, those equities are gone. Now these products are available in a regulated state licensed store. We're sending the message today that it's time to start wrapping up your business. If you're in an unlicensed marijuana business, you need to wrap it up, you need to shut down, and you need to apply for a license. And if you get one, you'll be welcomed into the community as the Bud Nation store was. But if you don't have a license, you are undermining the state law, and you are putting at danger this tremendous new law and this new freedom that the people of the state of Washington have voted for themselves. Business license is not enough. You need a 502 license from the State Liquor Control Board. The reason that we are adamant about this is that if you believe that the Washington state marijuana law is worth protecting, then you should be in favor of local jurisdictions who are moving forward to say, we welcome the licensed stores and we're asking the unlicensed stores to close down their operation and apply for a license. The federal government is watching Washington state. And if we don't do it right, if we don't do it right, there'll be time for questions if you'll be polite, please. If we don't do it right, the federal government's going to come in and shut us down. They're going to come in and shut Colorado down. If we don't do it right, there's one way to do it right. The success of Washington's law depends on how well each local jurisdiction deals with the proliferation of unlicensed and illegal marijuana stores. If you support legal marijuana, you should support the licensed stores, and you should not support the illegal black market retail stores that are everywhere. There are 15 in our jurisdiction in unincorporated King County. It's our effort right now to put them on notice. It's time to wrap up. It's time to move on, and it's time to shut it down. I'll turn it over to Sheriff Urquhart.
So now you're calling them black market. Well, you're running the black market stores.
Thank you. There'll be time for questions later, but not time for shouting right now. Sheriff?
We'll take all the questions you want in a few minutes. I want to go back to 502. 502 was very well crafted, and that's why it passed at 63% in King County, 55% statewide. And what it talked about was the rules and regulations regarding the sale of marijuana. And because it was so well crafted, because the citizens of King County, the citizens of the state of Washington wanted legal marijuana, the federal government blinked. And they said, okay, but this is what you have to do. And one of the things we have to do from the Cole memo, and most of you probably have seen that, is we have to crack down on illegal stores that sell marijuana illegally. And if we don't do that, there is a risk that the federal government will come in here and attack 502. And if you don't think that's going to happen, you wait till the next presidential election. And if it's a Republican that gets elected, if it's a Republican Attorney General, that is a very strong risk that I don't want to take because I supported 502. So we are going to do this because these stores are operating illegally. It's as simple as that. Legal 502 stores, illegal medical dispensaries. And if they're illegal, we're going to shut them down. That's it.
They're not illegal.
A product that has nothing but pesticides in it.
My name's Russ Hauge, and I'm a member of what will on July 24th formally be known as the Liquor Cannabis Board. And we are committed to provide access to persons with legitimate medical needs, to provide...
And I don't want to go to the state stores to get state medicine, to get my medicine from an alcohol run.
We are also committed to provide access to adults who want to use marijuana for recreational purposes. We're committed to ensuring quality, freedom from pesticides, freedom from adulterants. But what we're mostly concerned about is ensuring that this experiment that we're embarked on, in clear violation of federal law, is allowed to continue. We are committed to make this market work. The legislature, this last session, has given us the tools to do that, and we are going to make them work. We'll use all of those tools available to us. There will be license preferences for those people who can show a track record of responsible service to the community in providing medical needs. We will facilitate the siting of outlets according to state and local law. The buffers of 1,000 feet have been relaxed, given under local option.
The state can have more room to practice their business.
And if we are committed to the efficient collection of tax revenue. But again, primarily because we are in violation of federal law, no two ways about it, we're operating at the sufferance of the federal government, we are committed to strong enforcement. And that means we will go hand in hand with the criminal authorities in any local jurisdiction, and we will also use the administrative remedies that are available to us. We are going to be ensuring that product that is out there is traceable, that it is tested, that is packaged appropriately, and that access is available to everyone who has a right to access. And if it is not, then it will be seized administratively.
Make more money. That's what the feds do.
Now,
The medical market's a threat to how much money the state is making off of their marijuana since they've made it legal. They're trying to kick us out so that you can get the funds from us.
the bottom line is we have a state regulated system that we are operating at sufferance from the federal government. To continue this market, we have to regulate, we have to trace the product. We have
medical market that started in the 98.
Yeah. What about that market?
Okay. At this, the rules, we are engaged in rulemaking now. We will have a clear path to licensing, particularly for those people who are entitled to preferences under Senate Bill 5052 out this summer. So,
Okay, so I would like to take actual questions, not speeches. Does anybody have an actual question? Yes, sir.
Question. Dan, why are you taking this action without a policy from the county executive and the county council? The city of Seattle is going through a process proposed by the mayor and now being deliberated on by the council. Why are you acting?
The city of Seattle has a business license process. King County does not issue business licenses, so we don't have that regulatory scheme. But we know that these stores that are operating now are not legal. They're not operating as collective gardens in the actual sense of the collective garden law, and they do not have a license. All you have to do if you want to be a retail marijuana store, you have to get a license. It's binary. If you have a license, you can sell. If you don't, you can't. And that's our message today. Yes?
How exactly will implementation look? How's this going to work?
So we're asking today, we're putting people on notice who we think are operating illegal businesses to begin to wrap down that business. You might notice we didn't come in with search warrants and battering rams and handcuffs. We're asking people to obey and respect Washington's law. And if they can't do it, and if they're still in business a month from now, they can expect to get a visit. But we're not using the criminal law. We're using the civil law in the first instance. If people continue to violate the law, then we may have no choice. We're asking people to respect Washington's law. Sheriff?
This gentleman right here has had his
Yes,
hand
sir.
up for a long
Go
time.
ahead.
Yeah, I have a two-part question. First of all, for medical marijuana, 3-4 years ago, you told us to go get our medical marijuana license, go through the right process, go to our doctors. I did all of that. And I paid my money to get my license. Now I'm in the papers, and I'm very informed. I read everything, and I'm very informed on marijuana law. You knew that the federal government didn't like it. You knew that. But you still implemented those rules to go get our license. We went ahead and did that. Now you're calling it illegal, and you're going to shut it down. And the second part of my question is, I'm from California. All my cousins in California have had their medical marijuana license for 6 years. California's running their medical different, I don't know how. But I don't see no federal. My brothers never said nothing about the federal government. Maybe it's not the federal government, but maybe it's the $29 a gram that you guys want instead of the money that we have to pay for medical.
$10 a gram.
That's what I'm asking.
Opposed to 30.
Okay, I'm not sure if there's a question there. California does not have a law like the state of Washington.
Why did you guys say to go get our license?
You know, the law of our state has changed significantly. It now creates a new patient registry for people who want to join that and avoid the taxes. Otherwise there's no difficulty for people to get marijuana from a licensed store. They're robust. We're going to continue to license more stores. Because these stores that are operating unlicensed are not paying the same tax. It's not a fair competition. Bud Nation.
I'd like to get my question answered.
I don't have to pay taxes on those.
So we're saying there's a right way to do it, and it's right there across the
What
street.
you're saying is that a few years ago, when you told us to go to the license, to go get our medical license, you had no idea. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't know exactly what that I told anybody to go get a license,
3
but
years ago, the government, you told us to go get our license, right?
well, when you say license, do you mean an authorization from a doctor?
Saying that maybe we should elect people who are more informed.
Well, I expect that almost everybody here voted for 502, and my point to you, okay, then I'm wrong. Okay. All right. You have an actual question?
You said you're going to
We're not people, we're the people.
How much time? What's the specific time frame?
We have not given a specific time frame. We're putting everybody on notice in a very public way when we're going to ask you if you're still operating next month, that you might get a visit from the Liquor Board. If you are actually running,
All of a sudden, just throwing this in our face, giving anybody this announcement for this press conference was released this morning because you didn't want anyone here to hear about it.
If you are running an actual collective garden, then you can do that until July 2016. But my guess is that not one of these stores is an actual collective garden because you could not make the rent. Yes.
The medicines that I provide to my patients, the CBD, the RSO, they are not in the recreational stores, and there is no system to get a medical license right now. Why wouldn't you wait until there's the availability to get a medical license before you shut down the patient's access?
Well, we are shutting down.
Give people the opportunity to get a license.
On the other side of the street there is the city of Seattle. There are more than 100 stores there. There are some of the best medical producers there who produce the high CBD oil. Those are still in business. None of those are here in the 15th.
I'm an hour out in Black Diamond. What do all those thousands of patients do out there?
I
What
think
do they do out there?
they will be able to access.
It's supposed to be medical supplies.
There's no access for them. They're going to have to get in their cars and drive into Seattle, is what you're telling me.
Here for years.
Is there another?
Can you talk more about these visits in a month? What would that entail as far as more strong action? What are those visits?
Well, we're encouraging people who, especially people who want to do this right and who want to apply to it for a license. It's time to stop operating in a way that is not supported by the law.
Specifically, I mean, Sheriff, will your deputies board up stores? Will you remove employees? Can you get a little more specific? Will you get physically, like trespassing?
We have a variety of civil remedies that we can employ before we employ criminal remedies. One of the civil remedies that Commissioner Hauge just mentioned is that the Liquor Cannabis Board will have the right to seize product that does not meet the state's seed to stem product. So that is something that a store could face potentially.
You are the mafia.
The primary role of the Liquor Cannabis Board, which will be our name, is going to be licensing and regulation. We do have available to us at the extreme end of our administrative remedies seizure of product. We have no current plans to engage in seizure of product of any store right now. However, we are drafting rules as we speak. Those notice of the rulemaking will be going out within the next month or two that will describe the circumstances under which we can exercise that authority. So no, nothing is going to happen in a month from our part of it. However, we will cooperate fully with any local authorities, whether it's King County, Pierce County, Kitsap County, that wants to go forward. So if the authorities here in King County want to go forward, we will cooperate with them to the greatest extent possible. However, I want to be clear, we do not at this point, at this point have any intention of entering anybody's storefront in the gray market or black market, however you want to refer to it, and seizing product. However, that is an option that is available to us, and if necessary, it's an option that we will deploy.
Commissioner Hauge, the LCB is working with other state agencies to create rules, a path to a license for medical businesses. Why intervene now before that process has been established for these dispensaries to move into the 502 system?
We're not, the Liquor Cannabis Board is not intervening in anything right now. We are here to support King County authorities as they make the decision going forward to exercise some control over what is an unregulated market. Now, it is an accurate statement that the rules are not yet in place for us to fully license all the people who will be entitled to preferences under 5052. But we are working on that, and those will be in place. If, for example, the King County authorities want to, in the short term, take steps against storefronts that are operating without licenses, our enforcement authorities will cooperate with them to the fullest extent possible. But again, our primary responsibility and our obligation, what we're working on hardest, is creating the rules that will allow people who are entitled to licenses to get those licenses and be in operation by July 1st, 2016.
Right in the blue dress.
Hi, my name is Doreen Bomar. I'm the Vice Chair of CCSE, a local trade organization that supports the industry. There are many members of ours that are caught up in this that have been paying B&O taxes for years, have been operating with the King County business license. Of the letters that I have seen, most of them, or all of them, cite distance violations from parks or schools. Are there any other reasons that you're giving in those letters to these businesses? And do they have the ability to correct those distance violations if they'd like to move forward with the state license application?
Yeah, the main reason is that they don't have a state license. And if they want to get a state license, they're going to have to comply with local regulations or about where they can cite that. And that is the purpose of the letter, saying if you want to be in this business, you got to shut down your illegal operation and you got to get a license. And then the location of that has to be something that's within the local rules.
So can they work with King County now to establish those locations, since they're being asked to close now, but the application period might not be open for several months? Obviously, there's business owners that have taken great care of their employees, great care of their patients, and have paid all applicable sales tax.
They're not paying the sales, they're not paying the state marijuana tax. No. Okay, all right, sorry.
And so there's a representative from Department of Revenue that has done a study on the amount of B&O and sales taxes that have been paid by medical businesses, and that was one of the requirements in 5052, that they've been paying those taxes. There are several that I know of on your list that have documentation they've been paying, and that maybe didn't realize they were too close to a small private school or to something you would consider a park. Those businesses are interested in relocating so that they can apply for a state license under the rules. Do you support that?
Well, let me just clarify, to make sure I understand what you're saying. From the board's position, the situation you described, that person who's been paying their B&O taxes would be entitled to a preference in seeking a license under 5052. And the same bill, actually I think it was 2136, authorized local jurisdictions to relax some of the distance requirements. There's still the 1,000-foot barrier between operations and retail outlets and schools, but there are other things that can be relaxed, and that will be up to the local jurisdiction. So in terms of what the Liquor Cannabis Board is doing, those are the people that we will be working with to put on a fast track to a license, the fastest track we can.
Okay, there are several people here today that would probably love to talk to you about that process and how they can work with King County rather than against King County to move forward into regulating.
Right. It's important to understand that, again, the Liquor Cannabis Board is here in a supporting role. Notwithstanding what King County does, we're going to go forward with drafting our rules and making the process as transparent and easy as it can be. The rulemaking notices should go out this summer, and the process for comment will continue on through the fall.
Okay, great.
Okay, we've got about 3 more questions. We can go.
Mr. Young?
We can go 1, 2, and 3. Go ahead. Question?
Yeah, I'm wondering what do you guys define as collective gardens, and what taxes are these supposed to be paying? The Liquor Control Board and the Department of Revenue both told me as a 5052 passing there is no taxing requirements on medical cannabis.
Well, the collective garden rule is not what we say, it's what's in the state law, and we doubt that any of the stores that are operating here on this street are actual collective gardens. If they are, they should be prepared to show the paperwork that they do meet the state law. It'd be awfully difficult to pay the rent and hire employees with a true collective garden. So that will be an issue. Those are allowed for the next year. I just don't think any of these 15 stores are actually doing that, and we're not prepared to let people operate for the next 12 months and undermine the legal stores that are trying to make it. Yes.
Well, what taxation requirements do they have? Like I said, Department of Revenue.
If it's a true
and the
collective
Liquor
garden-
Control Board says there is none on the sale.
If it's a true collective garden, then it's a cooperative, and there's a limited number of people and a limited number of plants.
In which we also don't pay excise taxes to collective garden.
Right. Yes.
Is it accurate to say that in the spring that the state Supreme Court made a ruling regarding medical marijuana and its legality? Is that accurate to say that there was a decision from the Washington State Supreme Court regarding collective gardens in the case of Kent?
Oh, okay. I think that's it. It was about whether whether a city could prohibit it altogether.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's the only one I'm aware of. But okay, we had one more. Do you have a question?
As a business owner, can I ask one quick question?
Yes, sir.
You said that we weren't given a timeline. I have the letter written. It says close immediately and not to test the result. That's a timeline, sir. You're telling me I can't even open my doors or work with anybody in the meantime.
Well, the sheriff and I are telling you that it's time to start winding down the business and apply for a license. And I'll tell you, if you continue to operate without a license, there's no way that the LCB is going to give you any preference to get a license. So it's really in your best interest, if you want to have a long-term future in the industry, to start to follow what the LCB's requirements are and to recognize that you don't consider yourself illegal, we do. And that's our message to you today. All right, thank you very much. Appreciate you coming out.